Hey, folks, welcome to episode 57 of the Mile 20 podcast where epic shit happens. I'm Laura Lee, and I'm here with my bestie.
Lori,
And we are going to talk to you today about the FarGO Marathon. And I think it has like a really, really long name, Lori,
as well, it used to be the Sanford when we ran it, FarGO Marathon. Now it's like Essentia Health FarGO Marathon. It's
which is a mouthful.
FarGO.
So for the ease of conversation today, we're just going to call it the FarGO Marathon.
That's you.
You betcha. And we ran this race in September of 2021. So we'll talk about what the course was like and cool things that we did in the local area. But there are changes that have happened to the race. So Lori, do you have a mile 20 beverage tonight?
I wanted a mile 20 beverage and I almost went and got my mile 20 beverage. So you left early from Fargo on it was a Saturday race and you left
Yep.
early, I think Sunday. And then I had time to fart around because I think I was there until after dinner time.
Yeah, because you were doing like a lot of like late flights or like red eye flights and shit during
Like
that time period.
crazy early in the morning. I'd leave at like 5 a.m. to get out to wherever we were going. And then I was doing late night flights home. So I stopped right before I went to the airport to a Drecker's Brewing Company that had some fabulous IPAs, and it was delicious. And I did find out that they do have national distribution, and
Oh.
an Exton Beverage did have a Drecker's, but it was a mango sour, and I'm just not a sour girl.
Oh, you're not a sour girl. Yeah.
Quite enough to get me to go out into the stormy weather that we're having in Pennsylvania today to go out and get it. But I said my heartfelt, thanks and thoughts. It should be a Drecker Brewing Company beer, but instead I have my water.
I have water too. And I am actually coming to the podcast today from live from St. Kitts Nevis. We are still on our family vacation, and this podcast right now is the only thing between me and a really, really lovely dinner tonight.
No, as quickly as possible. What are you having for your mile 20 beverage tonight?
Water. I mentioned it during our last podcast that I've been doing a program called Be Balanced, where it focuses on nutrition and especially water intake. Basically things to go and regulate my hormone balance and stress levels and so forth. I have successfully spent my vacation. I brought my travel scale with me. Been weighing myself every morning. I haven't gained a single pound. I've actually lost weight on vacation because I've continued to go and do my Be Balanced program. I am so freaking proud of myself.
Yeah, you should be, because I definitely do not have that kind of willpower.
This girl, my whole family, they hung out like at the swim up bar yesterday, and I was like, I'm gonna have my club soda and my water. So it's been by choice, but yeah, that's about all I'm drinking right now is good old water. So how about Epic Week update? You had a little bit of adventure with one of your wee ones.
Yeah, so Ella had a horse show at the World Equestrian Center in Wilmington, Ohio, not down in Florida. And so we drove out there on Thursday. She showed Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And we're recording on a Monday night. So we drove back a little late last night. And we had a very nice weekend. Wilmington is a very, very small town. And people in the horse world think of the World Equestrian Center sometimes in Ocala, but they have one in Ohio. Ocala is a little bit of a bigger town than Wilmington, Ohio. But yeah, I mean, we went out to eat in some cool little places. They had a historic hotel that had a restaurant. It was like the General Denver something inn, and it was built in the 1928 and kind of had a Tudor style to it. It was kind
Oh,
of
neat.
yeah. We went to a brewery. They had a South Side brewing company, and they had some really great food there. and Ella did awesome, and Felix looked handsome. They had a braiding contest on Saturday, and so he had like green braids in his hair, and they found like a tiny little leprechaun top hat that they put between his little ears, and it was so cute. And she braided a shamrock into his tail. That was super cool too. So
Oh, that's really cool.
yeah, and Ella did well. Got better as the weekend went on. You know, both Felix had some oopsies, and Ella rode beautifully. Made some decisions that did affect her score, but she was making those decisions. You know what I mean? Like she was engaged, and you could tell she's grown a lot this year, which has been great.
Oh,
So
that's awesome.
the last day we were there, she got like a second place in one of the classes, a third place in one of the classes. And then they had like one big, it's called a classic between older and younger. There's probably 20 people, let's say, in the classic, and she came in ninth. So not too bad.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really, and how many horses, like how many people competed?
In her class, because she just moved up to adult amateurs, so she's no longer a kid anymore. So she had 8 people in her class.
Okay. Okay.
Then
Was,
for the classic, they do all of the adults, like they break them up between 18 to 35 and then 36 plus.
yeah.
So they combine them all for the classic. So there was probably about 20 horses in that.
Okay. Okay. And I mean,
But there
is this like a really, really big horse show though, out there?
Yeah, it is. They have a huge facility. Let's put it this way. You know, how, like if you can think about like a standard barn, like how big some of the barns are, they probably hold 20 horses.
Yeah.
They have a barn, like we were in barn L, and there were like a lot of stalls in just barn L.
Oh,
And
wow.
it had
Okay.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, like,
Wow.
yeah.
Like a huge complex. Oh,
They,
that's really cool.
they
Lots of,
had a, her favorite thing was that they're notorious for having a ride through Starbucks. So she actually rode through on Felix and ordered a Starbucks. And Felix was such a good boy. He didn't freak out when the door opened or anything. So I was very proud of him.
that's funny. Hopefully you got that on video.
I did, yes. I'm
Okay.
in the process of trying to do my reel, and I just haven't been able to totally focus to finish it just yet. But it's going to
Good.
social
Oh
media.
my gosh. I love it. I love it. Well,
Now,
we
yeah, tell me all about your trip because you've been gone
yeah,
for a
yeah.
while.
So we are in St. Kitts, Nevis. So I'm with my husband Jim and my daughter Maddie and my son-in-law Matthew. So it's just the four of us. And we left we so when you and I did the marathon last weekend, right? Um not this past weekend, but the weekend before. I ended up flying out of Myrtle Beach on Sunday. I landed at around like 1 in the afternoon, and then I flew out at like 6 a.m. the next morning to St. Kitts. So it was like a bam bam.
Yeah.
But we started out the trip. We actually landed on St. Kitts and St. Kitts Nevis. So Nevis is a little island that's part of the archipelago.
Mhm.
It's archipelago, right? Archipelago, the
Yeah.
islands.
I'm
Yes.
not going to correct you.
So it's actually Nevis is just south of St. Kitts. So we took a car ferry over to Nevis and we stayed there for 2 nights. And that was absolutely lovely. We stayed in a little kind of like a beach bungalow, resort right on the ocean.
Oh,
So our bed in the morning, like it had the windows and you just saw the ocean. Like you felt like you were in the ocean. We were like that close to it.
that's all.
I mean, we didn't have a long time on Nevis, but Maddie had coordinated a really cool like wine tasting dinner for us. And so we went to this resort, and it was actually the same resort that when Lady Diana took her two boys in the 90s to Nevis. That's actually where they stayed. She rented out like this entire resort. And it's a really, really old place, really, really, I think it's called Montpelier. And it was absolutely beautiful grounds. So had a wonderful dinner. So that's what we really did, like when we were on Nevis. And then in St. Kitts, we have been at the Marriott because we have our timeshare. So we've been here in Frigate Bay, and which is on the Atlantic side of the island. And so we're on the west side of the island. or I'm sorry, the east side of the island. And I don't know, it's nice. It's nice. It's I mean, we're in a condo. I mean, it's a Marriott. But we've done some exploring. Today we went to the big fort that they have here. The other day we hit a couple of really cool points. We saw a church that was, from like the late 1600s. So there's a lot of history here. St. Kitts was much like many of the other Caribbean islands, used for farming. So this was predominantly, sugarcane, on almost on the entire island. And it was slavery, was very, very present here. They actually stopped slavery in 1830. It was either 32 or 34. So much earlier than the United States did. And then they actually gained independence from Britain in like the 1980s. I think it was 84 or 85. And so it's been a big history here between either being French or British and, back and forth. So it's a really, really really nice island. I wouldn't say it's like one of my favorite, like places and just in terms of it being like overly lush and so forth. Like tomorrow we're going to go hiking through a rainforest, which will be fun. But I'm relaxed. That's the most important thing. My family has had some really, really nice meals, a lot of seafood here, very Caribbean based, like I would say like normal Caribbean based food, a lot of plantains with the food and rice and beans, a
Yeah.
lot of jerk chicken, that type of stuff, a lot of fresh seafood. They actually have, though, spiny lobsters here. And none of us have ever like eaten a spiny lobster. So my family had spiny lobster. There's actually there are lobsters without the claws. They don't
Oh,
have claws. They just yeah. So they had those the other night, and apparently they were very sweet and delicious.
so they liked them?
They did. They liked them a lot, and they're all over the island. And they serve them like whole. So I mean you're working on this thing, like big time. But the first night, like they ordered it, Jim was like, "Wait, where are the claws?"
Right. Like the other section of the chunks of meat we can get out real quick.
That's exactly it. But the bodies of the lobsters, they're bigger, they're longer. So you get a little bit more of like the body meat versus, having to have the claws. So yeah, so it's been absolutely lovely. The people here are so nice. So nice and just so friendly. And I don't know, I've enjoyed it and I've gotten a lot of sleep, which is what I needed.
Yeah,
And just really, really relaxed. So yeah, so really, really a nice time going and just spending with my family. So
that's good because then you'll come back all relaxed from your reset and finish.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. Just ready to go. And I'm all caught up on my work email, which is great. I've just been kind of checking it here and there and not like totally checking out. I didn't feel like I needed to, just because I was like, I'm just sitting at the pool. Like it's not like I'm out adventuring like every day. So,
Yeah.
but I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Maddie coordinated the rainforest hike. So we're hoping for a good experience. So we'll see. Oh, and they do have monkeys here on the island.
They do. What kind? You don't know, do you?
I got to look it up, girl. They're kind of like we looked it up on the first day. They're adorable. They're smaller monkeys and they have like a black and white face and their bodies are kind of like a gray brownish color.
Yeah.
So I think we've seen a total of 1, 2, 3. We saw 5 monkeys today at the going up to the fort. And it was so funny because we were in the car and I was like, you know what? I bet the monkeys that we saw the other day are probably the only monkeys that we'll see like the entire trip. Like I think it's a bust, And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, freaking 5 monkeys with babies like come across the road that we were driving up to go to this fort, and everybody was like, "All right, Laura, what else can we manifest?" Because I like completely manifested.
I love any place you could go where you can see monkeys.
Yeah, so it'll be fun to see if we can find some more tomorrow while we're in the rainforest because I think that that'll probably be more of an optimal type of environment. We haven't seen any, around the resort here in Frigate Bay. It's definitely like more around the areas, a little bit more like metropolitan. So and not very like heavily wooded. So I don't think that it's probably the more optimal type of environment for them.
Yeah.
But they're cute. They're cute.
Now I'm gonna have to look that up later when we're done with our call.
There we go. There we go. Well, you want to talk about the Fargo Marathon?
Let's do it. Because I
Yeah.
feel this is one of those marathons. Well, I would have to say I don't remember much about the course itself. To me, the really cool part about the Fargo Marathon is what surprise, like the little diamond in the rough that Fargo, North Dakota is.
I totally agree. And I went back earlier and I was looking at some of the pictures. I think one of the and we'll talk about it. There's a site with like a faux replica of like a Viking ship that we came across. It was just like on this like path and we were like, what the hell is that? We had no idea. And then I thought it was really unique. There was a woman who it was the first time we had ever seen somebody running carrying their dog in a carrying like harness like you do like a baby, and it's the only time I've ever seen that. And I took a picture of it and I was like, oh, don't you know, like this is different. But
It's
you
any marathon, right? You never know what crazy thing somebody's going to come up with to do during a marathon.
No, that's exactly it. But you and I had never been to Fargo before. So in fact, this was my first time ever being in North Dakota.
Did I?
So yeah, so I really didn't have any expectations, but I think what's most memorable to me was like more the town than the race. The race, not very memorable. Ran through some cute neighborhoods and stuff, and maybe because I know you have some notes written down on it, like, but it was more about our town experience and just like, just experiencing the people as well, because they were so sweet and so kind.
Yeah.
I really, really appreciated that.
Yeah. I think you came in Friday afternoon, a little bit after lunch. So I got in stupid early in the morning and I immediately was like, shit, what the hell am I going to do in Fargo until you get here? And I found this really cool place called Bonanzaville, USA. And it's kind of out on the outskirts of Fargo, and it's really cool because they took all these historic buildings, like an old pharmacy, a one-room schoolhouse, an old post office, like whole buildings, and put it in this Bonanzaville, USA. And it's like this replica of a small town, and you can go in and like they actually have like all these antiques set up in each of the buildings, and then they have all sorts of placards and just talking about the westward expansion, talking about the Native Americans that lived there at the time. And it was just they had oh geez, they had like a huge train exhibit and
Okay.
stagecoach exhibit. So they had like, I remember taking pictures of like a huge snowplow train, one of those that's like a huge shovel in the front to,
Yeah.
maybe it's just an engine to push the snow off the track. So I don't know. I'd never seen anything like it before. And I thought it was actually turned out to be like a really good starting base of understanding like what Fargo is or like how it came to be, because it just was one of those places with people just moving west and crossing and also establishing agriculture in that area. So anyway, it was just a cool little dip in and highly recommend because it's like, if you have like an hour or two, you can putz around it and it's kind of cool. And then I think I had lunch before you came in, and I went to this cool little place called Vinyl Disco. I mean, Vinyl Taco is a little Mexican place, and they actually played their music on vinyl the whole
I
time.
love that.
Yeah. So that was different. And then I picked you up, and I think we went to the bib pickup.
Yeah, yeah. And the tough thing for me especially during that time period, I mean, so because again, we've talked about, you've been a stay-at-home mom and like I've been working. So balancing like these races and especially the ones that were on Saturdays, it's more optimal. So if you are trying to do this to try to get in on Thursday night. So that way, then Friday you can relax, kind of do your sightseeing, do whatever you want to do, do your race prep, but not stress about, trying to get to the destination. Anytime, like because of my work schedule where I could not go and get in, like and get that extra day in, like my stress level would just go up through the roof because like you would be able to go and a lot of times get there earlier than me. And like again, it's just like one little snafu with like a flight or something could like totally, totally wreck the day. So would highly recommend not trying to get in like the day before and giving yourself an extra day. But sometimes it just couldn't go and make that work. So this go around totally worked.
Plus, it's also hard when I mean, we did 21, how many marathons did we do that year? 18, 17?
I Yeah, a lot.
We did a lot of marathons. So if you were taking a day here and a day there and not trying to figure out how to do it while working, it would have been a, a huge usage of your vacation time as well.
Oh,
You could have been
absolutely.
to the family or anything like that as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like I've just been fortunate over the especially the past, 5, 6 years of being a an executive that has worked remotely, and I've been able to kind of just work through like what my schedule is. And in fact, we have always joked around that like you've been on so many of my work
Yeah.
calls, you know that and you just you take the calls where you need to. And but I just been fortunate that I've been able to kind of balance it, and I have some really, really wicked time management skills.
Yeah, you do. I swear you can fit more shit into a small period of time than anybody else I know. That's for sure.
Yeah, and then the packet pickup was at the where was that at that time?
The FarGO Dome.
Okay, the dome, the big dome they have there.
And we started finished at the FarGO Dome inside.
Yes,
We started inside. I
I
think we
remember that.
finished inside. And then that was also pack up pickup. But it looks now like they've changed that as well. So they've changed. We ran in September with back in 2021 when they changed. It was the year after we ran it. They also changed their sponsorship to Essentia Health. They changed it to also a May race. So it's the very last weekend in May now,
Oh wow, okay.
fall, which is kind of nice because the fall is so stacked full of marathons. I
It
had,
is, and the temperature was really, really drastic for us.
yeah,
It was really chilly when we started, although it was nice that we started in the dome because, at least like, we weren't like standing out in 40-degree weather. But then it got into like the high 70s, towards the end of the race. So that was a big difference. So hopefully, folks who are running it in the end of May, won't feel as drastic of a temperature shift.
yeah. They also, I think they still start near the Fargo Dome. I'm not sure it goes into the Fargo Dome anymore. And the packet pickup looked like it was, excuse me, because I've got to look at my notes because I forget what I wrote down. It was in Memorial Union now in one of their ballrooms. But it does say it is an expo and not just a packet pickup. So
Okay.
that they have, the gamut, like little shops and stuff like that. And in
I thought starting at the Dome was super easy. I know we had to drive to it because we did stay in town at the Jasper Hotel, and I know we're going to talk about that place here in a second. But the parking was super easy, to get in and out of, the parking lot for the Dome. So that really wasn't an issue for us.
no. So they tout that they are America's best small town race. And I would say, yeah, they're probably not too far off of that. I mean, I can't think of a really small town race except for maybe like Alaska, but that really topped this. Can you? I mean,
I liked the mill race
I
in.
gave away a truck.
Yeah, yeah, they give away a truck. And that's in Indiana. So I felt like that one was like a really, really nice like little festival, at the end.
Yeah,
But I don't know. I think that like this race didn't really like stand out as like, oh, I loved the medals, and I know we'll talk about the medals, in a little bit, and the swag that we got, which was great. But nothing really stands out in terms of like, the post race stuff, anything like that. It was more of like what we did and what we got to experience in Fargo. And I think it was because the hotel too. I mean, you and
Yeah.
I both love a really, really good hotel, and the Jasper Hotel was just absolutely fabulous. You want to talk about because you booked that one. You found this hotel.
Yeah, it was just a fluke thing, and I was really nervous booking it because it was brand new in 2021 when I booked it. Like, had just opened and it was like coming soon. When I booked it, it wasn't even open yet. And I just booked it off of the pictures online and the fact that it was downtown and looked walkable to everything. Now, we always rented a car anyway because we have our mile 20 beverage stop.
Right.
Also, we figured we didn't want to ever be limited. We wanted, if there was something to see outside of a walkable area, we wanted to be able to access that easily. So we had a car, and I felt like we needed the car.
We did.
But we decided to stay in town so that we could walk to little restaurants and stuff like that. And oh my God, Jasper, whoever decorated the Jasper Hotel, it was gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Beautifully done.
Yeah. Great little lobby bar. I feel like we ate the race night meal. Did we not eat there as well?
We did have some food. We did a no shower happy hour, and
Yeah.
that's actually where we met one of our fellow 50 staters. And I'm not recalling her name, but now I feel bad because I think that I follow her and she follows me, and I'm not remembering her name now. Catherine. Catherine. And she was at the bar, and we ended up they had showered, and we were still sitting in our running clothes. And we just had a conversation with her and I think like one or two other people. So it was nice to go and hear other people's journeys and their experience with doing the 50 states, because I don't think that she was done, at that point in time, as well. And it was just nice to go and have, conversation with some fellow crazies.
Yeah, I always like picking other runners' brains for races that they've done too, because even if I have ideas for races I might want to do, you never know where a golden nugget might turn up where they've done something different that would fit you perfectly.
That's it.
I just love asking people about what they've experienced and what their favorites were.
Yeah, and I think a fun fact about the Jasper, if I do recall that, Josh Duhamel in his not in his marriage to Fergie, but I think he got remarried, and I think he got married at the Jasper Hotel. Wasn't that a fact that we saw at some point in time?
Yes, I do. I think you're right about that. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So we were like, I think when we heard about that, we were like, we've been there, we've been
Yes.
there.
Yes. I mean, just the little odds and ends that made the rooms feel just a little extra.
Yeah,
A little extra. It was
yeah,
just so, and I'd say the downtown Fargo too had they've like an old theater with the old big bulbs, and I think you and I both got a Christmas ornament and it says Fargo on it. It's kind of
yes.
just like an iconic emblem of Fargo itself. And then yeah, I mean they had little boutiques and restaurants and train station and I don't know. It was a cool little town.
It was, and they had some fantastic eateries, and the pizza place that we ate at was absolutely fantastic.
Yes.
I remember, so I took a picture, and you did a flight of beer and cider, for that dinner as well. It was a cute thing too, because they like had it like on a little wooden, like, I don't know if it was like I don't know, like a 2x4 or something like that. I don't know what it was, but it just looked really, really cute. And then they had the trivets for the pizza were like, they were corks for the wine, but then it had like a metal clamp around it. I did take a picture of it because I did make those with my own wine corks. I'm like, I can totally make this. I'm like, I'm an engineer. I just thought that those were the cutest damn things.
Yes, that was Blackbird wood fire pizza, and the pizza was delicious.
Delicious. I almost forgot about that because I always like think about, what my favorite pizzas, gluten-free pizza especially have been. And man, that was some good pizza.
Yeah, that was it. That was a good place. And I think we walked from the hotel to
We
that.
did. We did. We did. It was super, super, super convenient. Now, the morning of the race, I think that race, what would it start like 7:30 in the morning? So it wasn't too early of a start.
It's a 7 a.m. start.
Oh, 7 a.m. And then yeah, and then the race, I mean, it kicked off inside of the dome, and that was really weird because it was September of 2021. So we were still like in at least in Pennsylvania following a lot of, COVID protocols. And that was like probably the biggest race start that we had experienced, because a lot of the races that we've talked about the past couple of episodes that we did do during COVID were either, very staggered starts, very small races, so forth. But this one was the biggest one. And I know I took a picture of the two of us. We both had masks on before the start because that was kind of like the protocol that we've had in a lot of the races leading up to this. And we were like, oh, okay. Yeah.
We felt weird at the time. I think they had about 838 people that ran the marathon in 2021. So yeah, it felt weird. It felt weird, but knowing that, I think did you have it? Had you already, no, you hadn't had it yet, COVID. And I don't think I'd had it yet either. So
I did. I did. I had it before. I had gotten COVID at that point in time already.
I thought you got it. Oh, you got it that November.
Yep.
Yeah, so we had both already been exposed to it. So I think we were like learning in our head to kind of be like, okay, like this is okay to be around people and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's so weird. The whole
I know. Like looking back on that, and I was like, dude, I don't even remember wearing a mask. And like, I mean, I have a picture of us, a selfie at the start, and I'm like, yeah, it was just a really weird time. I hope that we never have to experience that again in our lifetime, but that was a really, really weird time.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
So this year, this past year in 2025, they had 1,250 finishers.
that's a lot more.
So I wonder, so there are a few places where the course has changed since when we ran it. And I wonder if some of that's just to accommodate the additional 400 people that they have running it now.
It could because I know that on certain parts of the course when we did it in 21, there were like smaller trail areas.
Yeah.
It was like cement trail areas that we ran through. So it could very well be that kind of area can't accommodate, as many runners. Who knows? But good for them for going and getting, was it a 400 plus people extra, running
Yeah.
their race.
Well,
Good for them.
they kind of put on a total package, weekend. So they have a 5K on Friday. They do not start the half with the full. They're about 15 minutes apart. And then they have a 10K that starts about 30 minutes after that. So they do have full, um, half, 10K, 5K. They have a virtual and a youth run. And then they have a Go Far challenge where I guess the only race that is on Friday is the 5K. So if you race the 5K on Friday and then any of the longer distances on Saturday, you can get a Go Far merch and some additional perks if you do two races in that weekend, which is always a nice option to have if you want a little extra.
I like that. I like that. That's cool. I mean, and it just fosters like people staying in the area a little bit longer as well, and contributing to the economy, which is fantastic. Now, I thought the cool thing about this race is that the whole race wasn't at the time when we ran it completely in North Dakota. We actually ran a little bit in Minnesota as well.
Yes, and that is still the case. So the beginning of the marathon through mile like 7.5 is identical to what we ran. And you kind of go north of the city and it looks like you're kind of in some different, neighborhoods and stuff like that. And then we kind of bumped out and went, more along the river because there's a river there that divides North Dakota from Minnesota.
Which was beautiful. That was really beautiful.
Yes, and we crossed the river. You and I crossed the river further north than what they do now.
Okay.
Actually skip one of the highlights that I thought was a highlight of the whole thing is that we did, and I'm going to slaughter this pronunciation.
Better you than me.
We ran by the Hjemkomst Center, which is where that well, it's not, it's a replica Viking ship, but it was this guy named Robert Ask, who is a guidance counselor in Minnesota, who just had this insane dream to build a replica Viking ship and sail it through the Great Lakes across the Atlantic into Norway. So he, with various people he's picked up along the way, in 1971 started building this replica ship that got completed in like 1980 or 1981. I can't remember, but Robert passed in 81, never got to see it set sail, but his crew decided to make a go of it and try and attempt the crossing in 1982 and completed a full sail all the way to Norway. So
It's
this
crazy.
center actually has the ship inside of it. And it also has, which is what we ran by, and it was very notable, Hopperstad Stav Church, which is a traditional, it's a exact replica, full scale replica of a church in Vik, Norway, one of those wooden structures. And it was
It's massive.
massive and it was super cool. And I actually got to tour that after you left, sadly. On Sunday, I went over there and checked all that out. And that was definitely worth the trip back over into Minnesota. But they don't run by that anymore. So
Yeah, that's a shame.
you
That's
need
a
to go
shame.
check that out.
Yeah, no, that's a shame. And I'm glad that we got a chance to run by it and you got a chance to go inside and then letting people know like, hey, check out, this location because, it's very, very close to Fargo and totally worth it. Like I just remember like running around a corner and like on this trail and we were like, oh shit, like what is that? Because it's just this the building is just so massive and it definitely does not I mean it looks so Nordic, so
Yes.
that like there's some type of history, with it and so forth. And of course, like we didn't have any, there weren't, I don't think there were any placards we could read and stuff. So we definitely looked it up, after we finished the race. But definitely check that out if you're doing the Fargo Marathon.
Yeah. But that's what makes me sad is like of the whole race, it's one thing I remember.
That's the one thing I remember too. That and the lady carrying the dog.
Yeah, and it's not even part of the course anymore. So they do, it is nice because it is like sort of a point to point. I can't say it's a loop. It's not point to point. You finish and start in the same place, but there's like out and backs with lots of loops, out and backs, loops. Um, so it's nice that you're not repeating a two loop course or anything like that, but there you do have to be mindful that there is some repetition with outs and backs. But you are going to different places, like you wound up at Minnesota State University, and I don't know, there's some loop you take way far south of town before you come back, which was exactly what we did as well.
Yep, yep.
So it's a decent course. It wasn't a lot that was memorable
It
about it.
is, and I don't remember it being like super hilly either.
No, it's a fast flat.
Yeah, yeah. So if you're looking for a course that you can BQ on and go and hang out in a really cool town, this would be the place.
And it has a 7 hour cutoff.
And a 7 hour cutoff. But somebody who's doing a BQ really doesn't give a shit about a 7 hour cutoff.
Back in the pack people, BQ people are probably like, I don't want to listen to these ladies.
I know. It's okay. It's okay. We still got the medal and we still got the swag. So
Yeah, so the swag, I do feel like they do a nice job on the swag.
they did.
And even this year, looking at their website, each race has its own style shirt, its own swag. And I'm starting to think that they do a color theme as well every year. So they kind
Ah,
of neat. And I didn't even pick up on that until I got all my stuff together that they gave us for this marathon. So for us, they had a finisher's jacket and a winter cap. So we got this lovely little Fargo, and it's black, red, and white
I love that hat. I wear that quite a bit.
all the time. Love
Yep.
that. I know you got rid of the finisher's jacket.
I did.
I wear mine all the time, but it's a really nice, it's got like FarGO up on the top and it's black, white with red again. And it's just, it doesn't even have sponsors on it. It's just
It doesn't have any sponsors on it.
no, and it's just, it's nice. Like it's just
Yeah.
thoughtfully designed. Their little slogan is "Oofta."
Oofda.
Guessing that's a Scandinavian thing since there's a Scandinavian influence. So there was no t-shirt or long sleeve. It was the jacket, the hat, and then the medal was really nice too. And again, it's got the red.
Yeah,
Um,
the red ribbon with the Fargo on it, and it's got a big far with a go. And it's a marathon
you know,
medal.
in the little O of the go, it's got the oofta. So the oofta is like the main part of the marathon medal from for this year, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, no, I remember getting that medal, and you and I both like the medals. It was like, yeah, this is like solid.
Yeah,
I think I got rid of the jacket because I believe that one has like elastic at the waist, and that's not my jam. And I was like, yeah, so I gave it to Goodwill. So
yeah, it was a little. It does get a little fitted, but I just stretch
I
it.
just I just didn't it wasn't comfortable. No,
So
no, no. I left like early the next morning. Like so on Sunday morning. So I got out early, but you did a couple of other things
I
in the
did
Fargo area, right?
probably one of the other most memorable parts of this trip for me was I went to Kroll's Diner for breakfast. I dropped you off and then I found a random diner to have a breakfast. And of course, I'm by myself. So because it was a diner, I'm like, I'm just going to belly up to the counter, instead of getting a table. So I'm sitting at the counter and there's all, these days I had my phone, right? And I'm like, I could sit here on my phone and just get lost and be by myself and have my breakfast. But for some reason, it was like a little angel on my shoulder, and they're like, don't pick up your phone. Just like be in this moment, like be present. So I'm watching all the other local yokels that are down at the counter and they're all bantering back and forth for the wait staff and the people working there. And I mean, they're talking about, Bobby's cousins, whatever, and talking about so and so's baby's birthday parties. I mean, like everybody knows everybody. And I strike up a conversation with this older gentleman that I wish I could remember his name. And we were just having a very pleasant conversation, just back and forth about various things. And it passed the entire meal. And I had to actually look up. I wasn't even sure where I had breakfast because I always look back at my bank statements to see what was charged when and where we ate. And I'm like, oh, that's right. He paid for my meal.
Oh,
I
I
went,
remember that.
yes,
I
I went
remember you saying that.
to my meal, and this lovely older gentleman, he got up and left before I did. He paid for my meal. And I'm like, that is the sweetest thing.
Yeah.
This doesn't happen
Yeah.
very
And
often.
that's no, that doesn't happen very often. And that's I think what we love about doing these races and going to these like places that, we don't get to experience on a day to day. And you and I live outside of the Philadelphia area. While our area is more rural, it's a lot of people,
Yeah.
so you don't have that little small town feel like you do, like with what you experienced in Fargo. And there's just goodness out there. And I think that that's the thing that I really, really love, that we find it, in almost everywhere that we go, which is cool.
Well, that and like we took a year off after we finished the 50 states in 2024. And we've talked about this before on runs. In the year that we took off of running a marathon, I realized I did not go to any weird random places in the US, not once. And
Yeah.
I kept thinking to myself, I don't have to run a marathon to travel like this. I don't, right? But then I don't. I just don't travel like this. And I'm like, this Fargo is the reason why I love running a marathon in all 50 states because it's a place I would never go to on my own volition, but I had to run a marathon there. So here I am staying at the Jasper Hotel, which is arguably one of my favorite boutique hotels in the country.
Right? Yep.
Meeting a lovely gentleman, going to Bonanzaville, USA, and the Hemkamp center. I mean, it's just there's something to be said about that part of Wanderlust where you're really getting out there and seeing, like, our country is not New York City or Washington, D.C. or California. Our country is made up of these small, gorgeous little nuggets of communities that are interwoven, that make up states, that make up our country. And it's just so cool to go out there and see it.
I totally agree. And running like gets us in it, like just in it, and to experience these like neighborhoods, I know we mentioned it at the end of the last episode. We ran through this one neighborhood and, it just people were so friendly. And, as we thanked some woman, for handing us like something, whether it was a glass of water or, like a Gatorade or something. And she's like, oh, yeah, it's like like no problem. Yeah, betcha. That was like, that was like that experience where you're like, I am in the thick of, community, within that, the North Dakota area, Minnesota area, wherever that neighborhood was. And again, it is so different than what we have, back home. And it just makes you appreciate the diversity, of the communities and just what makes, and I'm just going to get a little like, it just makes you realize that there are really good people in the United States and that, we do want to do, good by other people and be kind to each other. Those people do exist in the United States. And that just makes me feel good that we've been able to experience that, through our travels. And I want to experience more of it, as we go and take on more of these obscure locations, Lori.
No, but I would even say the vast majority of what we've experienced has been positive and
Oh, I totally agree. I totally agree.
had like maybe one that we're probably going to be talking about soon coming up. That was probably a little iffy, but like everything else has been so positive.
I totally agree. I totally agree. So, the question that I have for you is, would you run this race again?
I would recommend it. I would recommend it. I think it's an easy in, easy out. It's a major metropolitan.
Yep,
Flights to go in there. It's not huge, so it's not very far to get from the airport to the hotel to the race start, like all of
agreed.
that. I don't know what else North Dakota has to offer. Haven't gotten that far yet. So I would say definitely recommend it, and I'm gonna pause on deciding whether I would rerun it or not. What about you?
Yeah, I'm with you. I would definitely recommend this race again because if you're looking for a cute town and a flat fast course, this is definitely the course for you. But again, I think that because Fargo was such a nice little nugget of a town, there's got to be other little nuggets in North Dakota that I think we could probably go and find. And I would love to experience another part of the state. And so my option would be that when we run North Dakota again, let's try to go and look for someplace else to go and run, just again to go and try to find that other little nugget, that's out there. There might be another Jasper hotel waiting for us to stay at, Lori.
And
Or Jasper like hotel. Not to go and disparage the Jasper hotel because it was fabulous, but who knows? There might be another little gem out there.
there may be, and I do know that the Jasper Hotel is part of, there is a family chain where there are more associated with Jasper and other locations. So that's something to keep in mind as well. I don't remember the
Hmm.
name of the parent company, but maybe I should have.
Well, maybe we look for where their hotels are, and then we'll go and find a racer to buy
Yeah, I know.
it.
Just something about a good hotel.
Absolutely. Oof, love
How
a
does
good
the
hotel.
date understand that? I just don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
Anyhow, next week, are we done? You think we're done with Fargo? Have we done it justice?
yeah.
Okay. Next week, episode 58, we will be discussing St. George's Marathon.
Ah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a little bit more energy next week for our episode because man, I loved St. George's. I loved that whole trip, girly.
Yeah, I would say St. George's is probably in the top five most.
I I would put just overall experience for that entire race and our energy level and things that we did on that trip. I would put that in one of my top five.
Yeah. So, are we going to talk about your poop accident next week?
A poop accident?
Ah,
What poop accident?
I don't remember your Eagles buff.
No, I'm not going to talk about that.
What?
And I totally forgot about that.
Sorry. These are for next week, and we will not be talking about.
Well, if that's not like a tune in next week for Laura's poop accident in Utah. Dun dun no. We can have Maggie do a big poop emoji for like next week's episode with an eagle's buff wrapped around the poop emoji's head. We'll explain more next week about that.
Yes.
I think it just made me turn crimson.
Sorry. Please, if you're uncomfortable, Maggie can definitely edit that.
Oh God, no, I'm totally fine with it because shit happens.
It does happen. It's a lot, especially during a marathon or after.
Or after. Yes.
And
Yes.
I want to thank you guys for listening today. Please check us out on all of our socials at Mile 20 Podcast, Instagram, Facebook. You can stream us wherever you listen to your podcast. Now go make Mile 20 your bitch.
Peace out.